Okay, we're continuing with Hidden History of Health by me, Pete Rogers. We're going to be talking about some dental things. This guy right here, Weston Price. A lot of people in the vegan community think he's bad because they think of him as recommending meat and stuff. But he actually was a great genius. He's one of the two greatest dentists to ever live, him and Hal Huggins. He was in charge of the research laboratories for the United States and Canada, and he did some very good research. This is his most famous book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. You see all the faces on the cover. He basically traveled all over the world, and what he figured out was all the people eating their traditional diets, plant foods, including animal foods, but just none of the modern sweets and processed food. They all had good teeth. And then when they started eating a more modernized diet with processed food and all the sweets and oils and stuff, then they would get lots of dental cavities. They would get deformities of their jaw arch, for example. Now, he was a dentist as well as a dentist researcher, and the guy really was a genius. He did a root canal on his son when his son was 16 years of age, and the root canal got infected, and it caused a heart infection, I believe, and his son died. And he was so sad by that, he was devastated by that, that he dedicated the rest of his life to researching root canals and other related things. And he took the root canal tooth out of his son who had died, and he implanted it underneath the skin of a rabbit, and the rabbit also got a cardiac infection and died. Then he put it in another rabbit, and the same thing happened over and over again, which led him to then know that that bacteria in that infected tooth was specific for infecting the heart. He also had the experience that he started studying everything about root canals, and what he found was that they're always infected, no exceptions. Every root canal is infected because you've left a dead tooth in place. A root canal means to go into the tooth and scoop out all the living material in the root, the arteries, the veins, the nerve, and everything, and that's the life of the tooth. So once you remove that, you've got the shell of the tooth, but the tooth itself is devascularized, and there's all these little tubules in the tooth that become infected. So it's always infected. Now, when people are young and healthy and robust, they often can handle those infections quite well. But as they get older, the infections enlarge and they'll release toxins. And they're pretty powerful toxins in some cases, so people can be pretty sick. So if somebody had a previous root canal that didn't bother them for a decade or two, they might still eventually have a problem related to that root canal. They're not out of the woods yet. In general, it's good to remove a bad tooth, but dentists will fight that. Dentists don't want to remove anything, or if they remove it, they want to replace it right away with something else. And when they remove it, they don't need to just remove the tooth. They need to clear it out, because if they don't clear out the socket that it came from, there'll be residual infection in there. And it's a bone infection. Osteomyelitis can cause all kinds of serious problems. Okay, next person we're going to talk about in dentistry is this guy here, Robert Gamal. Robert Gamal is really good. He has a website called realdentalinfo.com, and that's the best website on the whole internet. The other great dental website is IAOMT.org. So IAOMT is like International Academy of Medical and Oral Pathology and Toxicology. Okay, it's real good because it goes through all the heavy metal complications and has a lot of other good information. So Robert Gamal's book was called The Garbage Collector, and what that means is he would remove teeth where there was a problem. And he felt that he did more to help people by removing teeth and bad fillings and amalgams than he had done with anything else in his career, and bad infected root canals. So he's smart. He's a little crazy. All dentists are crazy. All dentists, they end up with mercury inhalational toxicity from operating on, thousands of patients with mercury fillings. So they're a little crazy. He's no exception. But he's real smart. His YouTube channel, he has a YouTube channel, but he doesn't have that many videos on his YouTube channel. His website's much better. Lots of information. Anyways, it's a great book, Garbage Collector. Okay, it's a real serious, long, intense, detailed book summarizing the research studies on why mercury amalgams are a disaster and so are root canals. He goes into a lot more than that, but those are sort of the highlights of the book. I had tooth problems. I reactivated a cavity when I started, I tried the sugar diet, and I was also drinking these, 32-ounce juice containers, for energy when I work out. I like them sometimes when I give long talks. But the bottom line is I reactivated a cavity, and then I went to the dentist, have him just pull the tooth out, and he wouldn't pull the tooth out. I'm like, crap, let me try to fix this myself. So I just learned everything I could learn about dentistry, how to not have more amalgam come out, and how to prevent cavities. You basically brush, you don't even need toothpaste, just brush the biofilm off the tooth, and then the bacteria can't adhere to the tooth. They can only cause a cavity if they're adherent to your tooth. They take in the sugar, convert it to acid through glycolysis, and pump out lactic acid and proton, lactate and a proton from the cell. So you get all this acid sitting there underneath the biofilm, and it burns a hole in the tooth. So if you just brush your teeth, you can brush your teeth before you eat. You can brush them, just once a day is good enough. You get them off there, you get the biofilm off of there, and then you're not going to cause a cavity. So anyways, prevent and reverse dental disease. Okay, that's all I got for today. I have a whole playlist of videos on dental stuff if you're interested. I did a couple lectures on that also at VegSource if you're interested. Hope you found it helpful.